Welcome to Sitecore Standard Values. My name is Sultan and and I'm a Customer Transformation Director at Sitecore. In this podcast, we continuously seek to provide deeper insights into the value of Sitecore as a solution to business problems. With regular episodes from me in EMEA and my friend Rick in the US, we alternate to bring you a rich variety of guests to share their perspectives and experiences through a rich tapestry of discussions, opinions, and thought experiments. Today, I'm super excited to have Harry Boers with us. He's a seasoned expert in digital strategy, business development, and change consultancy. Harry has dedicated over 25 years of his career to helping organizations navigate and accelerate in the digital world. With his optimistic and non-conformist approach, he has been instrumental in planning and executing digital strategies, designing roadmaps, and coaching teams. He's currently principal consultant strategy at Macaw, a leading IT and digital marketing company based in the Netherlands. In his capacity, he serves as a trusted advisor for key accounts. He's a thought leader and a driver of knowledge management within the organization. He has had many roles, but I think if you want to talk about digital transformation and strategy, we have no better person to speak to than Harry. So, Harry, thank you for joining the show.
Wow, Sultan, what an introduction! I'm a bit speechless now.
Okay.
I'm feeling very modest here.
Okay.
How am I going to live up to that expectation?
You'll surpass those expectations, I am sure. I know that every interaction we have had, I was always like, wow, this guy is so smart. Can I steal his brain for, I don't know, for a couple of minutes? It could really help. So, Harry, let's just dive into it. I think we've been around technology for a long time.
Yeah.
And if there's one word that I've been hearing over the last, I think, 15 years is digital transformation.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. Is that still a thing? Does that exist?
Oh yeah. The way I'm looking at this is we're in kind of the third wave of this thing. It started out in 2012 with the Nexus of Forces. When Gartner came out with, okay, we have a combination of mobile, social, big data, cloud, all coming together. Big, impactful new technologies, but having a real impact in the way we work, way we live, and all that kind of stuff. Now, looking back 10 years ago, this really happened. But that was a technology push, but that was kind of the first step in this digital transformation. Then 4 years later, 2016, we were in the midst of this digital transformation. Everybody wants to be like Amazon, and we want to be a platform company or a unicorn, or give us some money, we'll burn it. That kind of stuff. Then with COVID, we entered a new reality. We left that world of abundance, and we came to our senses more or less again. Like with COVID, you have the believers and the non-believers, and so you had that same thing with digital transformation. But now, we're coming out of this situation and faced with new economic realities and new expectations from customers and society on how we perform as a company. I think we're in the third stage, and Brian Solis called that stage digital Darwinism. And digital Darwinism is what happens when society, customer behavior, and technology evolve faster than the ability of companies to adapt. And so, for me, digital transformation stands for that hype period we're going to change the world and all that kind of stuff. Give me money and I can burn it. And now we are, okay, so I need to step up my game and make sure I'm resilient as a company, make sure that I provide the right technology to my employees, make sure I get my customer experience at the right level, make sure that I'm using data in a way that I can fight and reduce complexity in my whole chain, in my organization, in my making good decisions again. Because if I don't, I'm at the wrong side of this digital Darwinism thing.
Mhm.
And we don't talk it like that because it's kind of fear driven. I'm not a fan of that because I'd like to reason from opportunity and optimism. Uh, but this is what I'm seeing now with companies saying, "Hey, we need to step up our game." So
Mhm.
it's pretty much alive. It's alive and kicking, but in another dimension.
Okay. So you went from I need to build a mobile app or build 200 mobile apps
Mhm.
to actually delivering real stuff that have a real impact.
Yeah, because one of the effects that we saw, and COVID has been a catalyst in this, is
Mhm.
that everybody's using that same technology because technology has been democratized,
Yeah.
and competition has always come from using tools.
Mhm.
Having better tools than the other one, or having better craftsmanship in using the tools than your competitor. And now technology has been democratized, so everybody has access to the same tools. So everybody's doing the same thing with that same technology stack, using the same customer journey and the same touch points. And it's kind of also Jacob's law, right? From UX, it's when people start, feeling accustomed to a certain user experience they have on a certain site or in a certain app, then they expect the same thing to happen in the other apps that they're using. So it's kind of a race to that spot. So when this digital sameness is happening, I think competitiveness from companies now comes from the ability of employees to creatively leverage this data and technology in a better way than the competition does. So how creative are you in using that data and technology? How creative are you in setting up that technology stack and making choices there and bringing that to your employees and really, finding the value for your customers?
Yeah. Yeah, you could almost compare it to, I don't know, you were talking about it. I was almost comparing to a bakery. So they all use the same ingredients.
Yeah, exactly.
Bread, making bread is making bread. But
Mhm.
you'll have some people making bread which will be way better. They will
Oh,
be more creative. They'll make better pastries and so on.
yeah,
And that
yeah,
has all to do with the creativity and the skills
yeah,
of the people.
yeah. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And and in your role, you are guiding organization in that transformation. So
Yeah.
um, I would imagine the conversations you have must be hard because even though they might want to start with developing a new app or rethinking some
Mhm,
things,
mhm, mhm.
they go towards some digital sameness. But I guess your role is also to help them have some competitivity around there. So
Yeah, yeah.
how do you deal with that?
Yeah. Well, fortunately, I work with a company that gives me that room to maneuver. Um, so when our clients ask that technology question, yeah, we're going to engage in that conversation. And sometimes, when I have a seat there, then I can ask that question. Okay, why and where's your competitiveness, and tell me, where are you going? And usually, so my role is a strategist, but what I do is I always see this in three levels. So it's strategy shaping, it's strategy planning, and it's strategy execution. And what I find is that a lot of companies have their strategy shaping, their it's pretty okay. It's pretty okay. They know what they're doing. They know where their competitiveness is. They know where they differentiate. They know where they want to go. That's that okay. I can polish, but it's pretty much they know what they're doing. It's the strategy planning stuff where it gets hard.
Mm.
So because there's a lot of complexity, there's a lot of items connected to each other. It's not just about building an app or putting up a site or giving dashboards to people. It is so it needs to go somewhere, and it's about people, process, and technology. Oh, and that planning, that program building, that's a hard skill for organization because one of the models that I really often use is the magic quadrant of Gartner.
Mhm.
I use it in a slightly different way because you have this quadrant with the ability to execute and completeness of vision,
Yeah.
right? And that gives you four quadrants. So two axes, four quadrants. And when I'm engaging with a customer, I try to understand where is their power, in the ability to execute, in their completeness of vision, or in the combination of that. Because if you can combine it, you're in the leadership quadrant.
Yeah.
And usually I find both, but not connected. So I find people
Mm.
within an organization that have the completeness of vision, and I find people in an organization that have the ability to execute. But do they come together? That's the
Mm.
whole, and you need to connect those people,
Yeah.
and you need to find out how does it work here, what's the culture, and that kind of stuff, and then you can talk about change, then you can make that technology work for them. So working in IT, I do little with technology. It's more with change and connecting people, connecting IT with business.
Yeah.
Basically, that's where the magic happens. That's
Yeah.
still a tough spot to tackle in organizations.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I imagine also that you need not only to deal with the goals, you need to deal with the budgets, you need to deal with the politics and people.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
we did a program recently with a customer. They said we want to be data driven. No, nice, right? So I asked the question, okay, I understand now why you want to be data driven. Why do your people want to be data driven? They didn't have an answer. Okay, so let's talk about technology for sure, but let's talk about these people as well.
Yeah.
Let's have that conversation with them.
Mhm.
What's in it for them? And then typically what you do, there's a great bunch of tools out there to do that, with design thinking principles in the design sprints or workshops or surveys or change methods. I'm a big system change fan, system thinker. So, I'd like to take all those lenses and look from different perspectives on that situation, and then trying to boil it down to a solid story, and then you get people going.
Yeah.
Because in essence they all want to be successful and they all want to go in the same direction, but you have to take their interest into account.
Yeah. To take me through that system thinking, I think we discussed that. I think last year when we met, and I think that's an interesting approach. Can you tell us more about, yeah, what is actually system thinking and those lenses?
Yeah. Okay. So it's kind of it stems from biology. So if you have a plant, a flower, it when you read the label in the shop, you want to buy. Oh, let's take a tree, a tree, a small tree. If you want to buy a tree for your garden, you're in that shop, and you have this list beside it, and it said, oh, it can grow to 6 meters. Oh, wow, 6 meters. Then you plant it in your garden, and 5 years later, it's at 2.5. Hmm. Hey, I didn't expect that. Um, And system thinking is about how can I reach full potential. So if 6 meter is the full potential,
Mhm.
and I can see it reaching 2.5, what kind of interventions can I think of that will make it reach its full potential? Maybe in these circumstances, full potential is 5. That can be the case. But what do I need to do? Is it the soil? Is it, do I need to give nutrition stuff? Is it the wind? Is it sun? Is it water? And probably it's a lot of things. It's never just one thing. It's never. So you have to take all these lenses, you have to take all these positions, all these perspectives, saying, okay, so I'm looking at cause A, cause B, cause C, cause D, cause E, cause F. You have to broaden your horizon and then boil it down again. Okay, so I need to tweak here a little and there a little. Then I need to do that. And then, okay, let's see progress. Am I on the right direction?
Yeah.
So it's kind of agile.
Yeah.
With a holistic approach. I hate that word.
You sound like a holistic massage.
Yeah.
Healing.
Yeah.
Okay, but we get where you're going to. Don't worry.
I'm a very result-driven guy. So, when it sounds a bit, then I'm. If it comes to be fluffy, then I'm out of here. But this really helps. It's not about the big melodramatic interventions. We're gonna, no. It's about little things. Yeah.
And how do you? I mean, you deal with business leaders that are probably, let's go into the cliches,
which they're
goal
not.
driven. They want to prove the results within a quarter. And you come there and you tell them, slow down, look at all the angles. Because if you want to be able to achieve it, you need to get everyone on board to do it. I guess that's kind of the message. How do you convince them to do that? Because they probably tell you, I don't care, just build the app.
Okay.
And everything's going to be fine.
There was an assumption in this question.
Yeah.
Slow down. I never, ever slow down.
Okay.
No. I was built in 1970. So, you wouldn't say.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
I thought you were 27.
No, unfortunately. So I was looking at Formula One in the days that this was a thingy. If you would make a mistake, then you were in trouble. Yeah. And I like the quote of Mario Andretti. So for the US listeners, they know the guy. And the quote of Mario Andretti: if you think you have everything under control, you're not going fast enough.
Yeah.
Now that's this is reality. If I come in and say you need to slow down and take a holistic approach, it doesn't land, and I'm getting uncomfortable because I want to. But what you do say is, okay, where you need to get a real quick learning curve. I need to be ahead of my my counterparts. Just 10 meters. Nothing more. It's a competitive world, so I need to be close with them. They're going high pace. I'm going high pace, and then it's challenging them. I'm what I do like is and you say cliches, but I see a lot of dominant people in those positions, and I like to challenge. I'm not saying yes sir, no sir. That's not my style. If we're encountering, you get feedback because hey, you hired me. I'm the expert. So let's talk. That's your company best. I know this field best. So let's get smart together. Let's do this together. Let's collaborate. And this is where the magic happens. So I need to step into their game. It's their business. It's their success, not mine.
That's true.
So it doesn't happen often, but sometimes I'm stepping out of an assignment because they don't really want to make that change. If there's no skin in the game, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not the department for entertainment. It is, if you want to do a workshop just for having a good time, well, success. Hire another guy.
Okay. So if I want to have a nice workshop to talk about holistic things, it's not you're not a guy to bring in.
No, no, no. There are very good people for that. And I can recommend it. It helps absolutely. It's not my thing.
That's great.
And
So
I'm Dutch, right? So I'm very direct, and I'm
yeah,
blunt, and all of that, and I'm
yeah,
bold. That's yeah,
yeah. I mean, the bold and the beautiful.
yeah.
So
Hey, but what I find is, if you do this with a smile on your face and some humor, and don't be afraid, then
yeah,
people open up.
yeah, that's true. And the directness helps to move things. You can circle around a problem for hours, but if you don't face it, it will never be solved. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and if I'm not the type for you, say it. Find
yeah,
it. I can help you find somebody else that
yeah.
can. That's not a problem.
No bad feelings.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah. And what's always impressing me with you is that you have all those models and those
Mhm.
references. So are you using a toolkit, or how are you approaching that?
Yeah. Yeah. So over the years, um, I found it very useful if you have a toolkit, with models, with approaches, with workshops, with that are very tangible. But when a company, when a management team asks me to help them and say, hey, can you make us a report or a roadmap, or well, what do you mean with a roadmap?
Mhm.
And they can, normally, they're not good at really then going into detail. This is what I expect from you.
Yeah.
So I have examples. Okay, I can build you a roadmap like this, or I like that, or so I have this toolkit that really helps to make it easier. Because what I found is that there's a great bunch of models and systems out there. Business model canvas, or a three horizons model from
Mhm.
McKinsey, or that magic quadrant from Gartner,
Yeah.
or there's loads of them, loads. So I've now got a toolkit from like 120 models that
Wow.
I'm frequently using. Um, and it's like, this is my toolkit, and I have a conversation with my client saying, okay, so it's like proportional violence. um, how much detail do you want to have?
Yeah.
That's and then you can come quickly to, okay, let's do this and this and this and this, and this
Mm.
fits that systemic approach.
Yeah.
Okay, what are the lenses that we need to take? Do we need to have a look at your brand? Do we need to have a look at your positioning, your mission, vision, strategy, or do we need to just make a roadmap? Is strategy planning your problem?
Mm.
Is the team setting? Is the all that kind of stuff? So for every lens, I have a set of models, and this eases up the conversation, makes it very tangible.
Yeah.
And then we have that conversation. Okay, let's do then this, uh, bringing those people and make those steps.
Yeah. Yeah. You're kind of you're explaining that, and then it sounds like you're a DJ. So you're like a transformation DJ. So you have all those records, and
Yeah,
then yeah,
yeah, yeah.
getting to the
Because
goal, and yeah,
yeah, I want the people on the floor,
yeah,
and so I need to bring all this music with me, and then okay, so what works for this audience?
yeah,
And hey guys, what kind of evening do you want to have?
yeah. Do you want Barry White or do you want Prodigy? So yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, yeah, something like that.
I'm the fire starter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah. I've now this is a nice one. I see some people in my business, in
Mhm.
the things that I do, that are kind of, those fire starters that then come in barging in again, but then dressed up as a fireman. So
Yeah.
they are kind of the firefighters that have an unhealthy interest in matches. There's a lot of them out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
start, if they engage with customers, then it's starting fires all over again, and then say, "Hey, I can help you fight this one." Yeah.
And I think your goal is to be there as short as possible with the biggest impact. I think that would probably,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and that's part of my nature because I
Mm.
get bored
Yeah.
quickly. uh, so I'd like to solve that puzzle. I like to get
Mm.
the people, the processes, the technology moving, get to a
Yeah.
result, and then okay, so now what?
Yeah. What's
Yeah,
next?
what's next?
Yeah. I
High
agree.
energy, don't slow down. Tina Turner, come on. We never, ever do anything easy.
No. And you left a good job in a city.
Ah, yeah.
There you go.
Wow, wow, Sultan. Yes, that exactly
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So, anyone listening to the podcast, watching this, if you know what we are referring to, just drop us an email or leave a comment in the description below. We would appreciate.
Yeah, Nutbush.
No. So keep rolling to the river.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Steamy windows.
Stevie. So this podcast is called Sitecore Standard Values.
Okay.
Harry, what is your standard value?
What do you mean with standard value?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Standard value is actually something, it's a concept in Sitecore development.
Yeah.
And it's a value that you define within the Sitecore environment.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a standard value that is then used for the entire
Your
deployment.
core.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I would ask you, what is your key value or your standard
Mhm.
value, what would it be?
I think I'm programmed around karma.
Okay.
And again, interacting with management teams or I treat people like I want them to treat me.
Mm.
I believe in karma. Yeah, basically, that's the essence.
Okay.
That's the essence.
Okay. So
Um,
treat people like you want to be treated.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do normal, please. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Don't be
Be
a
fair,
jerk.
be open. Be
Yeah.
transparent. All that kind of stuff. I think that's
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah.
And this is the question that when I'm reflecting in periods of reflection. This is where I go to. This is where I
Mhm.
go to. Yeah,
Okay.
karma. Um,
And I
basically.
think that brings us back actually to actually digital sameness and eventually the difference that people make
Yeah,
is how we end up treating each other. And
yeah,
that's a real impact that people can make
yeah.
on
It's
each
about
other.
that connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's about a two-way. There's
Mhm.
a colleague of mine. We are working a lot for Heineken, for instance.
Mhm.
And in building that relationship over the years, we were asked to step in a project, a real big one, but it didn't fit us really good. So my colleague said, "Well, we're gonna pass. We're not taking this one." And they were a bit kind of surprised, and he explained, "Well, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit our people. It doesn't work." So yes, and then he said something magical, saying, "Okay, if you want to have our best people, do you want to be my best customer?"
Mhm.
Um, and for me, that's the essence of Macaw
Yeah.
as a company. So this challenge that is always there. So yeah, we have MVPs, and we have a high level of craftsmanship in the company.
Mhm.
Um, but it starts with that karma thing, that that equality in, okay, if you want to have my best people, hey, if you want to work with them, do you want to be my best customer?
Yeah.
It's a two-way thing. We're
Mm.
partnering in this. Let's get smart together. I think that's really important.
Yeah. And I think that boils down to when you want to achieve great things, it cannot be achieved with inequality in the relationship. It needs to be
Exactly.
achieved working together toward the same goal,
Trust.
treating each other well, and then getting things done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And feel the pain of the other one,
Yeah.
and having conversations about that. And if you say this to me, it hurts.
Yeah.
I'm getting scared if you want to go there. Okay. When I'm working with companies, the projects they're doing will probably have impact on the careers of the people that I'm working with. If they succeed, they're high profiling in, okay, hey, we managed this one. If they fail, it could damage.
Yeah.
So you need to take that into account. This is not just about buying technology. This is personal.
Yeah.
You need to know that.
Yeah. It absolutely is. And that's a key thing. The status quo is the safest option for people. That's
Exactly. And
how
we're
I try
leaving
to
that
look at
status
things.
quo behind.
Yeah. If they take a
Oh,
risk, they take a risk for their career. So
yeah,
they don't want to be
yeah,
that guy, that girl.
yeah.
So we need to help them and make sure that they're succeeding.
And this is why I'm very transparent in who I am, because if we don't match, then the trust that we need in those difficult places we can end up in, um, then it comes down to that trust.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that we have to be the same, preferably not. But it has to be in, okay, are we going to do this? Are we going to do this together?
Yeah. So I think that's how we looked at each other a month ago and we were like, are we going to do this podcast together?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we did.
Yeah, yeah.
So thank you, Harry, for taking the time today. It was once again an amazing conversation. And I'm so happy because it's recorded. So
Oh, wow.
people will, I think they will enjoy this conversation and all the great insights you have shared. So really want to thank you on behalf of the audience. And I wish you a fantastic day. So for
For you.
everyone out there, please reach out to Harry if you want to connect with him. He's on LinkedIn. Easy to find, Harry Boers. Feel free to reach out to us if you want us to introduce you to him. He's a great guy to interact with. And I hope to speak with you again, Harry. So have a good day.
We will.
Yes.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, Sultan.
My pleasure.